Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this webinar this afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. I am very excited that we have the opportunity this afternoon to hear from our shortlisted School Librarian of the Year and School Library of the Year Primary. So both of those categories are here with us this afternoon. It means we've got quite a lot to go through, but I am sure we are in for some inspiration, some brilliant idea sharing, and just some encouragement in terms of these awards. They're there to highlight the practice that's going on. These people are very brave putting themselves forward. Everybody does brilliant work, don't they? But they're the brave ones that have stepped up and said, this is what you can do. So you don't need to hear from me. I will just be here in the background. If you need any help, just pop a message in the chat. But we are going to start with the schedule by passing over to Fritha, who is from Usborne, who are the very generous and kind sponsors of the Primary School Library of the Year Award. And Fritha's just going to share a little bit with us. So over to you. Thank you.
Oh, hi everyone. Really lovely to be here. Right, hello everyone. I'm Fritha Lindquist. I'm from Usborne, children's publisher. I'm the head of publicity. I'm delighted to be here today. I'm here to represent Usborne, who are the sponsors of the Peter Usborne Primary School Library of the Year Award. This sponsorship is incredibly special to Usborne, not just because it celebrates the invaluable place that primary school libraries have in a school community, a place that every primary school library should have, but also because it honours the legacy of our founder, Peter Usborne. This is Peter. In early 2023, he's at Windsor Castle. He is receiving a CBE for services to children's literature, sorry, not just children's literature. This photo was taken just sadly very shortly before Peter died. He died in March 2023, and it was the 50th anniversary year of Usborne. He founded Usborne in 1973 when he found out he was going to become a dad for the first time. That baby who was born, Nicola, is now our MD. Peter founded Usborne because he felt that there was a gap in the market for non-fiction books, in particular for children. He felt that what was out there was quite dry, was quite unexciting. He came from a magazine publishing background, and I think it is widely recognised that he really did revolutionise children's publishing in the UK. And Usborne have gone on to publish a wide range of books for all ages. We've got touchy-feely books for babies. You might be familiar with That's Not My series if you've got young children or grandchildren. And we publish all the way up to YA fiction, romantasy books. Peter said that being a parent and a publisher was the greatest privilege of his life. He recognised the power of the right book in the right hands at the right time, and he championed literacy, reading for pleasure, school libraries, and the right of the child to have the very best books to choose from. His motto until the day he died was "do it better," and under Nicola's leadership, that is how Usborne continues. I'm just going to really quickly take you through some of our brand. We're a children's specialist publisher. We make no apologies for that. We're independent, family-owned, family-run business. We only make books for children. All of our time and effort and expertise goes into that. And we recognise that children inhabit a world of colour and imagination, and we keep children in our minds at all times when we're creating books. Everything we do is meticulously crafted. Usborne is quite unique as a publisher because we have a big team of in-house writers, designers, editors. So those people, they love putting the time into making these books special. What are the little extras that they can add into a book? Everything is created with love and care. Our writers, designers, they really take time over ensuring that all of our titles have lots of little extra details, making sure it's perfect for children. We make knowledge irresistible. So I mentioned at the beginning that Usborne was founded as a non-fiction publisher. So although we have now expanded and we've published lots of amazing fiction books and picture books as well, non-fiction is in our DNA. And those in-house writers and designers, they are experts at communicating sometimes difficult and complex information to children in a fun and accessible way. They make knowledge irresistible. Oops, sorry, I've jumped ahead. We are here for children, for families, for teachers, for librarians at every stage of a child's development. We want to grow up with a child. So we aim to provide a book for every stage and every interest, but we're also about growing young minds. We want to expand children's minds. We want to take them on a journey. We understand that, and I think that's why people keep coming back to Usborne and recognising it's a trusted brand in children's books. All of these go into what we really want to do, which is spark curiosity. And I know that that's what teachers, librarians, parents want to do. We just going to show you just a couple of our irresistible books for primary schools. This is just a small selection. Also secondary schools, we publish for all ages. Do check out usborne.com for all of our latest titles. You can sign up to our newsletter. We've got loads of free resources, activities, trusted website links that support the curriculum and support all the books we publish. I know that all of you out there are in a line with what Usborne believes in. You know, we want to spark curiosity in children, and what better place to do that than in an inviting, engaging school library. So on to that. Here is Nicola Usborne, who is Peter's daughter, now our MD, with her dad, same day that he received his CBE. Nicola is so proud to sponsor the SLA Primary School Library of the Year Award in her dad's name to honour his legacy. I can't tell you how proud she is. And I'd like to leave you with some words from Nicola. She said, "My dad loved going to libraries and he thought they were hugely important. He just loved books and loved seeing children enjoying books. He would immediately get deep into conversation with a young reader about what books they loved, what their interests were, just like a librarian does, and what topics they thought Usborne should publish more books on." So thank you very much, and good luck to all of the shortlisted primary school libraries. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fritha. That's fantastic. I just want to add my congratulations to Usborne for being the publisher and to everybody that's in that category. I'm sorry this is going to be really sort of quick turnaround, but I want to give everybody maximum opportunity. So first up, we're going to welcome East Hunsbury Primary School, the first in that category. We've got Catherine Pennington. So hi to Catherine.
Hello.
Over to you.
Hi everyone, I'm Kat Pennington. I'm the proud head teacher of East Hunsbury Primary School, and I'm also joined by my wonderful librarian. This is Ruth. Real life in a primary school. Ruth has literally just walked through the door from a school trip with year 2. I've just been with our school improvement advisor, and I think that's reflective of the fact that having a library is absolutely the most important thing to us. It actually sits at the heart of our school. It's right in the middle. And no matter what goes on in our day, back here we will come to make sure that the children are getting the books that they need. So I just thought I'd start off with a little bit of an introduction to who we are. We're a 2-form entry school in the middle of Northampton town, and we also have a 50-place specialist unit attached to our school. So we are one school with lots of children, a really diverse catchment, very community-based, but we have this brilliant specialist unit attached to us as well. And that makes the library even more important because for us, the world of story and books is a hugely equitable and uniting force. I've been head here for just over 2 years. Day 2 of my headship, Ofsted came. So that was an interesting journey into it. But when I arrived, I would say that the library was incredibly outdated. It lacked resource, it lacked funding. It was predominantly white, male, middle-class books that were in our library, very tatty books, and also a lot of books with stickers on that says, "Do not remove from this library." It wasn't timetabled, it wasn't well used, it wasn't a loved area. And I shared doing the application, it leaked as well. So books would get frequently ruined. So with leaking comes a smell that wasn't very nice. So one of the first things that I made sure that we did as a school in the headship is sort the books that the children have access to out. Make sure that every child can be represented through the books. And one of the very first things that we did was appoint a librarian. And like many schools, Ruth isn't just the librarian, she's everything else. You're a Hilter, you do so many different jobs. So we have to use the resources that we've got here to the best that we can. So as I mentioned, the library sits at the heart of our school. We have a librarian. It is always on the school improvement plan, and it is always in our budget because it always has to be the priority. As I said, it's so easy for other things to come in and around to take over. So we've come on a long journey from where we were to where we are now, and we're sitting in the library now, and there's still a long way to go for us. But over the last few years, some of the things that we do now as a library, we have reading ambassadors. So they are children who promote, many of schools will have this, promote reading. They have clearly defined roles. You can see them up on the left-hand side of the screen. So they have their main roles. They will promote reading. They will launch something that we do every year called Read October, which is read every day in October, which is a series of challenges, and we also get authors in. We've been really blessed to have authors like S.F. Said in, Thomas Bunzel in, Nicola Davies in. You have to book them in advance. You have to budget for them in advance. You have to do fundraisers in advance. But it's brilliant. We then say you have a reading challenge every day, and there's always a competition, and we just have a whole month of reading. Teachers get on board, and the reason we have it in October is it sets up the academic year really well, and it makes sure everybody knows reading is really important. But the ambassadors will be key to organising that, and they're led by Ruth. We do newsletters, so we do a termly reading newsletter, but in every week's newsletter there is information about reading and books, and you can see there's an example from one of our weekly newsletters we had about anti-bullying week. Our curriculum is incredibly important to our library. Our library feeds our curriculum. So through our curriculum, we have a daily reading spine. So we've got carefully chosen books that run through the curriculum that are read by our teachers. So we call it our daily reader spine. So every child will be read every day. Protected characteristics spine. So we have got books that teach the children about protected characteristics. We've got a British values spine, and we've got a poetry spine. So they feed and run through our curriculums, including what we deliver in assemblies. And there is always a copy of the book for the teacher, and there is always a copy of that book in the library. So if children want to go and get it out themselves, take it home, they can do. We have what we call our 100 reads. So a couple of years ago, we asked the staff, which books do you think are absolutely essential that the children read by the time that they leave our school in year 6? So the staff chose these books, and there was a lot of heated debate. Yes. I thought it was going to be hard to come up with 100 books. No, it was hard to whittle it down from about 500. But we've got these 100 books that again sit in our library. There's multiple copies in the library that we say we want every child to read by the time they leave us. Many of the books are on one of those reading spines, so we know many of them that the children will meet. The children get a little poster when they start school with us. We mention it on our transfer days, and when they've read 100 books, they get a special little assembly. There's a red carpet, there's music, there's a trophy, so it's a huge celebration. And the books range from A Tiger That Came to Tea to Watership Down. So there's a real variety. Our environment is very key. From the moment you walk through our school gates, you will see that it says, "Welcome to East Hunsbury." And we've got these that you'll see at the top of the screen, these signposts. All of the things that are mentioned on the signpost, all of the fictional areas are books that are on our reading spine. So the Land of Nevermore, etc. They're all the Land of Roar. They're on there. We then got on the books of our doors that go around our school. The books of the reading spine. So all our school doors are covered in them. And there are different posters around the school that have quotes. So we have what's called the Be Proud part of our school. And then there's a thing there with wall with quotes and that on. So everything comes back to reading. It's timetabled. Children get to come every week, change their book. And we've got things that we're planning on next year. You can see them in the bottom right-hand corner. Our next steps, from classroom scrapbooks to more teacher blethers in meetings, and opening the library up to parents as well now. We do the reading challenges, you name it, we'll do it. But it's been a huge but rapid journey.
It has, and I think as you'd said in your application, that we could have waited until maybe next year or the year after, where you think, okay, have we got there yet? But actually we want to champion where we are now, and we've come such a long way thanks to Kat. It's just amazing. It's a place now where it's not a chore as it was a couple of years ago, I think, for children to come in and choose their library book. That it was something, we've got to go and do. You almost have to chase them out now, because it's curriculum time. And they love it. And it's about creating a relaxed reading space for them now. That's really important.
This is their space for them, and that's the beauty when you see our specialist unit join with our children. It's completely inclusive. And today, coming in here, because obviously we're in the library, I did have to literally chase a little boy out, and he's like, but I've got to get the book, I've got to, it can't be on screen, you'll be filmed, it'll be GDPR, it'll be awful, you've got to get, but he didn't want to get out, and then he sulked off out the back. But that's don't remove me from my space. That is where I want to be. So yeah, that in a nutshell, that's us. 2 years of making sure reading is the priority. It's seen by everybody to be the priority. And because it is, the children live and breathe it now. It's a brilliant place to be. And the staff love coming in here. And it's much about the reading culture. The library has changed the culture of our school. Everybody is becoming a reader, and the more improvements we do, the easier they are, because everybody's on that journey of reading is so important. So they just come on that journey with them, and our reading results have rocketed, so that's always a lovely thing.
Brilliant, absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. I personally love Red October. What a brilliant initiative that is, but also the cohesive nature of it all coming together. So thank you so much for sharing. As I said at the top, if you want to ask questions in the chat, feel free to do that, and then people can answer them as we go. But I do want to move on to our next on the list for Primary School Librarian of the Year from Usborne, and that is Stenning Primary. And we have both Leah Sands and Simon Phipps from there. So over to you both.
Hello everyone, it's really nice to see you this afternoon. I'm Leah and I work at Stenning Primary and at Swiss Gardens in Shoreham, but we're talking about Stenning today. I'm a dedicated librarian for 3 days a week, so I'm very, very lucky to be here. We're a 2-form school in Sussex, and we have a speech and language support centre as well, where the children integrate in class and get extra support there as well. I've been here for 7 years. And previously, my previous head teacher nominated us for the award 5 years ago, and we were unsuccessful. But we thought we'd give it another go, because things have really changed in the last 5 years. The library has become so much more embedded in everything that we do in Stenning. Whereas before, I think we were possibly a bit more bolt on to things that were going on. And what's been really key to that is senior leadership and governor support. I have a dedicated governor that I work with, and I report to both all of SLT and to the governor, and get a lot of support and sharing of the vision. And Simon, who's here somewhere, I don't know whether he can talk or not. But I
can't. I'm here.
Hi, Simon. But I think what's been really key as well is having Simon. When Simon started in the school as a deputy head teacher, one of the first things he did is said, "Can we have a meeting to find out what you do?" And that was so valuable to me, and it gave him such a good insight, and his support's been fantastic in driving things through and making sure that everything is very cohesive and we're very much at the centre of what we do. The engagement in the library has increased massively. The first year that I worked here, I think I taught about 5 whole class sessions in the year. This year, we've done 160 already. Borrowing's increased massively from 531 books in 2018 to 4,242 currently this year, which has been great. And it's been the teacher support which has also been so important. So it'll just give you some ideas of what our library looks like. We've got a lovely space. We've worked really hard on developing our stock over the last 7 years in terms of diversity, in terms of genre, and it's great to have been able to do that and have regular opportunities to update the stock. I'm now on a cycle of weeding, and yeah, it's great. The children love the stock that we've got. It's also been really important to do lots of CPD from the SLA as well to help improve my knowledge of books. So I've been very grateful for them with that. This is just some pictures of what we look like. I just scroll through. I always try to make sure that our environment is really enticing for the children. So these are just our kind of key display that we have that changes every term. So we've had things that will really try and pull them in. The Strictly Come Reading was a really important one to kind of engage a group of girls a few years ago that were really into dancing, but not so much books. So they were also into Strictly Come Dancing. So that was our Strictly Come Reading display that we did. This is our outdoor reading shed, which is open at playtimes, and the children can go there and choose a book and read with some of our pupil librarians, who I'll tell you more about in a minute. The pupil librarians, they work with us every lunchtime. They come in and they help me run the library. They're really at the heart of our vision of what we do. We want them to feel like they're in control of the library, and I'm a kind of facilitator to it. So these are some of the things that they've done. They wrote to a lot of authors. We, obviously being a state primary school, funding can sometimes be an issue for books. So we had a chat with them about how we could raise some money, and they wrote to a lot of illustrators and asked them if they'd donate an image for us that we could sell for 50p. So we were so lucky from all the illustrators that did that, and that provides a sort of trickle of funding that comes through, which is great. They run clubs quite often. They're at the moment, we've got some year sixes who are really into crocheting and knitting. So the lunchtime is always very buzzy at the moment with lots of children doing crochet. They also, this is one thing that we love doing, we have draw along clubs occasionally in the library. And again, the librarians wrote to some illustrators and asked if they donate a pebble. This was a couple of years ago when there was a real kind of trend of finding pebbles everywhere. So what we did is we asked for these lovely pebbles that were given to us, and we were going to hide them around the school, but then we realised how valuable they were and how they might disappear in little pockets. So what we do is we use them as a stimulus for drawing, and we'll do draw-alongs but using these, and we then hide the children's pebbles that they've decorated, and the children can then bring along when they find one, and they have a little bookmark, and they then get a little stamp when they found a pebble and a recommendation for a book by that illustrator. And there are those in the corner of the library at the moment, all in their cabinet. Going back to what I was talking about, the teachers, we have whole class sessions which are about reading for pleasure. So a real chance to talk about what the children like to read, to recommend books to each other, to introduce them to new authors. But also within those, we teach them library kind of skills. So we've got a reception child's book care poster. We had a class vote on a favourite dinosaur book. Year threes were looking at different genres and what those words meant, because some of them didn't know what a mystery or a chiller was, and we sort of celebrate those in the library. In terms of working with people in the school, that's been so key to making us more central. So I work with our inclusion assistant head, Senko, and we run intervention groups. This is a Lego intervention group. So again, it was a group of children that were really into Lego, and we used books as a vehicle, sharing some stories, asking them comprehension questions, and then they'd make their kind of responses and tell the stories with the Lego, along with the draw-along clubs. We take them to the local bookshop to choose books for the library when we can get some funding to do that. And I also I do a reading survey at the beginning of each year with our lowest 20% of readers to get a really good in-depth look at what their reading's like, what they want to read and what inspires them. I've worked really closely with our children's mentor. A lot of the children that need support from her are also the children that will frequently use the library. Since the pandemic, we've also had a lot of children with sort of mental health problems that we've wanted to support. So we have a reading therapy dog that comes in, and the children can come and read to Freddie, who's pictured there. At the moment, we've got Freddie's favourite books on display in the library. On an empathy day, we have a targeted group of children that we do the empathy resources with. We've done young carers assemblies together. We've done assemblies on mindfulness and mental health. And that's been so key to that joined up work that we've done together. With the music teacher, we've been developing poetry, and he teaches all of the classes to recite a poem. We're very lucky because we have a weekly reading assembly, which I lead, and we have a half-termly poetry focus where each class will then share their recite a poem. This has developed into a poetry slam that we have every term, and that has just been phenomenal. The first one we had about 20 children. The child that won the slam, we really promoted her, and we had 65 children come and recite a poem at our last poetry slam. And we've got another one coming up next week, and every day I'm getting children come to the desk and say, can I be in the poetry slam, Mrs. Hands?
I couldn't even get into the library the day that we had the last poetry slam, so yeah, incredible.
And then we're finishing off at the end of the summer term with a whole school poetry recital and inviting the parents in to see that as well. We're all about embedding and book talk. This is just one of the displays in the library with children's comments and recommendations, adults' recommendations, book review folder. We have had a book pen pal. Unfortunately, the scheme's not running this year, but that's been really great as well to get author sort of feedback to the children and recommendations. This is just from our Sarah McIntyre draw-along assembly. The children love draw-alongs, so we quite often do those. But in assembly, we'll often do assemblies about kind of themed days or issues or recommending authors. One of their favourites at the moment is we do a reading interview with a member of staff. So the member of staff will come in and they will share some of their favourite reads and favourite books. My work, although the library, I think the roots of the library have spread everywhere in the school. So as well as having the library as a physical room, you walk into the corridor, we've got a poetry pod that I manage. This is one of our class book corners that I've supported the teachers with. And yeah, these are just some quotes from our last Ofsted visit that we had, when it was just so fantastic to see that feedback from an Ofsted inspector. The impact for me on all of this, my confidence has soared in what I do. But also in my philosophy, working in two schools, I do completely different things, and it's just made me really realise how that role of a librarian is so crucial, but can be really adapted and tailored to whatever school that you're working in and those school priorities. It's been lovely to have the recognition, and also it's been great because we had to put a video together as part of it, or to send some photos, but I involved the children in that, and it was such a lovely opportunity to really reflect on everything that the school's done and the journey that we've been on the last 7 years. I hope I haven't spoken for too much or too long.
Absolutely brilliant. No, not at all.
Okay.
Could I just have 10-15 seconds at the end of that just to say I'm the head teacher at Stelling Primary, and I grew up as a disadvantaged child, and the local library for me was the safest of spaces, and that is what our school library is now for our children. And the reason why I haven't spoken very much is because Leah is just incredible and has done so much to ensure that our library is not only geographically but spiritually right at the heart of everything we do at our school. So yeah, I'm just glad the recognition of this is going to Leah as well.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Simon. And it's excellent to see that level of support for her and for the facility from senior leaders. So thank you both so much for sharing. Moving really quickly on, we have the third in the primary category, Martin Roper at Sudbury Primary School. So over to you, Martin.
Okay. Right, I'd just like to say that this was actually a complete surprise to me, because my wonderful head teacher and deputy head did the application for me. So I knew nothing about it literally until the Tuesday before the shortlist was announced on the Friday. So I'm thrilled to be able to be talking to you today, because our school library has moved on masses since I first took it over, and how it's been renewed. So we had a remodernisation of the library in 2016, and I took over 3 years ago, and the librarian then had just won a Foyles grant, so we had some money to spend. So obviously I had to look into buying a load of books for diversity and everything else. So basically we asked the subject leaders to come up with class lists, book lists, in other words, for their subjects, and we use cornerstones for our foundation subjects. So they have reading book lists on that, so we use those as well. So we bought loads of books in from there. We also at the moment, we also do a scholastic book fair twice a year. So I have money to spend on books through that. And so with the reward scheme, we are now buying some more subject leader books. So again, through the cornerstones and stuff. So that's the sort of thing that we've been doing. And the reason why, obviously, they wanted to apply was to recognise everyone's hard work, because everyone in the school does everything really, in the sense that I am a year one teacher. I'm also phonics lead and the head of the library. So there's a lot going on, and we are a large school in Wembley of 930 children, 20% of which are our pupil premium. So we really wanted to make sure that the whole school is involved in this, and I wouldn't be able to do this job without the whole school being involved. Okay, so each class has half an hour session every fortnight in the library, and we rotate like that. And I have parent volunteers that come in and help, and I also have year 6 and year 5 librarians. The year 6 librarians start off the year, and then I train up halfway through the year 5, so that they can have a bit of time off for their SATs, and they come in and help. And so every lunchtime, a different class, so a full formentary, a different class will come, librarians will come in, they will deal with all the books that have been returned, put them back on the shelf. Now, obviously, that's also quite I'm not a librarian, okay, I hasten to add. So when you hear all this, you'll probably have kittens, but we have a color-coded system, basically, so it's easy for the children to put the books back on the shelves, in the sense that we have Key Stage 1 non-fiction and fiction, we have Key Stage 2 non-fiction and fiction, and it works really well, because I don't have to get involved, because they are excellent at their jobs and they love doing it. I train them up to put books on the system as well. We have a head librarian who's also the head of school. He's an amazing chap. He does a really, really good job. And without him, again, I would be lost. So reading for pleasure is just our thing. We do sessions every day in each class. We have sorry, I've lost my place now. I also didn't realise I was doing this until yesterday. But we have reading for pleasure, guided reading sessions. We have reading champions, okay, and in their guided reading record books every month. Every term they're looked at, and so each class has a reading champion, and they promote the reading in the class. And there's loads of reading materials. We've And the start, as parents are really proud of what we do as well, because when it was announced on Class Dojo, we had 700 likes, and everyone's like really involved with the library. The parents also donate books, which are all put onto the library system.
That's brilliant that you've got parental support as well. I like that.
That's good.
Fantastic.
So that's really good. 44 different languages are spoken in the school, so we have a lot of dual language books as well, which is also helpful, and we ask parents to come in that speak different languages to read books within the classroom. We have reading lists for High Corbett's reading list, because we use Talk for Writing, and we always say that reading is the feeding in order to get the writing, and our reading attainment has increased radically. There are lots of ways that we get the children involved. I have a poster which we do called Hot Off the Press. So this is one of the latest ones, and the book is then read by a child, and we do a book review, and then these posters are put up in the library so that children know the new books that are coming out. I often look on various different internet sites to find out the latest books, especially, I don't know whether anybody knows, a really good independent bookshop called Mr. B's Emporium in Bath. They have fabulous reading lists, and I use those often to get new ideas of new books. We also, as a school, all the children, all the teachers have at the bottom of their email what they are reading, what children's book they are reading, so that we are all up to date with what's going on. It's really, really improved the school's reading. We have on the school, on each class door as well, the book that we're reading at the moment, okay? We have, oh yeah, and for World Book Day, we do a big World Book Day. So in other words, last year we did photo competition for children reading in unusual places. We also did, this year we entered children into the National Book Token competition that was being run. So we have a big day, and they bring in their favourite books to read to the class on that day. So there's big involvement with the children at all times for the reading.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Martin. Do we have Rebecca Clee?
I think I really wanted to push this forward. So Fairfield School it's a special school. It's a school for children with the most complex and profound needs, where learning for those children look very different, and reading looks very different. I'm really proud to be the literacy lead at Fairfield School and the communication lead, but it does look very different to any other school, and it's just been the most heartwarming journey to see us grow a library at Fairfield School for these really amazing children. In fact, one of the book series that we've got, The Abilities in Me, which we did an event for, showcased there was a lot of books in there where children could look and understand similar things to the experiences that they might be having, such as peg feeding, epilepsy, some really complex syndromes that we have in school. So my journey has just been the most amazing journey. I was appointed reading lead a few years back, and it started off really small in the school. It started off really with bookshelves in the corridor, because the books were kept predominantly in classroom spaces. And it was from those little bookshelves that it really grew. So it's a little bit of the saying, from little seeds, the flowers grow. It was very much like that in our school, that the children loved the books. They just loved coming to this little, what I called the mini library, which was in the corridor. And the senior leadership team really could see how much we were able to support reading through having a library, it was massive for our school to have a library. So this year, well, it was last Easter, so exactly a year, we opened our library at Fairfield School, and it has been amazing. The library it is so special. So it has high shelving, because we have children that are in standing and walking frames. We have low shelving because I've got early years tiny ones in very small work chairs. We've got middle areas, we've got wide gaps for children that are in wheelchairs. I think the thing about the library that is perhaps most unique is the book selection that's in there, that has just taken so much research. So for a few examples, we've got Makaton books with QR readers in, because we're Makaton champions. We've got Braille books, we've got large pink books, we've got the All About Me, Abilities in Me series. but we really try to plan to think of all our children and to make reading something that is possible. And I believe every child should have a reading journey, no matter what it looks like. So one of the things that I did, I took part in a little study, a little case study with some specialists, and I put lollipop sticks inside the pages. And it was the very first time a child had ever turned the pages of a book by herself. And it was the opportunity to be an independent reader was just amazing. She was so happy she could lift the lolly sticks and turn the pages. So we just try and represent everything. We have a lot of technology now in the library, which has changed a lot. So we have something called Tony boxes. I don't know if you've seen them with the little figures on top. That means for some of our children that cannot actually access books, either because of visual impairment or sensory needs or any other type of needs, they can still listen to a story independently. And that's been another key part. For some children, the library has also been an opportunity to have a role. Some of our children may never be able to experience work and jobs and careers, but we've had 2 children that have actually started writing their own stories using eye gaze machines to be able to write the stories, which has just been amazing. And I'm really keen to kind of get those off and start printing them. We've got one girl who really struggled to speak, and her oracy was, she just really struggled to have that confidence. But now she comes every Monday and she reads a story, and she carefully sits there to the end, and then she says, "Thank you very much," and goes back to class. And that is massive. I cannot tell you, I can't even put like a thing on how much this Library of the Year means to our school, because our children, they are readers. It might not look like reading for some people that come into our school. It may not look the same as it does in maybe a mainstream, but it might be an eye gaze, it might be symbols, it might be a sensory book, it could be a fiction, a non-fiction, but they are all part of our journey. These children have just loved the library. It has brought the school, it's just brought reading to life for children who books can be very challenging. Books can be a real barrier at times, but actually books have become amazing. Reading has become amazing, and reading across the school, we've just kind of grown with it. So we've had some amazing events like World Book Day, where we make sure we have eye gaze, we have the Macathon, we have different reading approaches, and we always make sure our book includes all of those. And most recently, I've got a little girl who doesn't speak. She's a non-verbal little girl, and she's just been able to demonstrate that she can read. She can read whole words, and that is through the love of books, and that's the library in a picture. So I don't need to go on too long, but I'm so proud to be part of this and for our school. Thank you for having us.
Well, thank you for sharing. That is so special. That is so fascinating to see how you've, as you say, broken down those barriers. Very different to what most of us experience. So really appreciate it. That's really heartwarming. Love that one. Thank you. If we move on to actually in between, I do want to do a big shout out to Paul Register, who is on the trustees of the School Library Association and has also been chair of the judges for these awards. So just wanted to say, I'm sure you've had a brilliant experience of judging all of these, and thanks for your input on it. If we move on then to the secondary category, the School Librarian of the Year, which is very kindly and generously sponsored by Sora Overdrive. And Ross Harding is here to tell us a little bit about their role in that. So over to you, Ross.
Okay, thanks, Helen. So hi, I'm Roz. I'm from Sora, which is the school's app provided by Overdrive. So you might be used to hearing both of those names. I'm absolutely thrilled that we're sponsoring the Secondary School Librarian of the Year. So for those of you who might know the name, you'll know that this is an award that is very close to my heart. As I was fortunate enough to have the award presented to me in 2019. I then left schools a few years after that and moved over to Sora. But it's absolutely fantastic working for a company that really values schools and libraries. And so actually, when I suggested that we sponsor this award, I think it was just seen as a no-brainer that we wanted to be supporting this. So what I just wanted to talk a little bit about was how a digital library, as that is what Sora is, can be part of a school library service. So I might be slightly biased, but I do think that having a digital library is really quite a core part of having a library service. It's not a replacement in any way at all. It's absolutely part of what we should be offering. So just some things to consider with that. A digital library, the main thing is it's open 24/7. So as much as we would love to have our libraries open all the time, nobody wants to work those kind of hours, but a digital library is always there, evenings, weekends and holidays, so that you can carry on providing those fantastic books to your students. It also allows you to provide a whole range of materials, so ebooks, read-along ebooks, audiobooks and magazines, all just in one place for students. The other thing a digital library does is provide equity of access. And that can just be in terms of people being able to access a library at all. Obviously, within the school, they all have access to your school library, but we all know that when they leave the school premises, it varies a lot. Have they got parents that could take them to the public library? Do they live anywhere near a public library that's open to give them that access outside of school? But we do know that a lot of them have devices or access to a device in the household. And so that actually it can provide that access outside of school. But also along with that, it allows you to present those different options like audiobooks for those students that need it. You have the ability to change text sizes and offer different fonts, which can be really useful for those students with special educational needs or additional learning needs. And then coming from the point of view really of a secondary school librarian, you can provide extra copies of those popular books. So those ones you can never keep on your shelves. You can have those extra copies available digitally. And you don't have to chase overdues. I've seen a lot of this on the SLN forum lately about what do you do about getting overdue books back. You don't have to do any of that digitally. They are returned automatically and you never have to worry about it. And alongside that, no more lost or damaged books as well. I know that a lot of our schools that use us love the graphic novels in particular, because those are the ones that we can never keep on the shelves, or somebody takes out the first one and then leaves it in their bag forever. And so you can't do it, or they drop their water on it. So you've got all of no damage can happen to the actual books. And also you get that privacy of reading. So those secret readers who don't want to read in front of their friends, don't want to admit that they're listening to an audiobook, they can do that. They can have their phone, they can have their headphones in. Nobody knows that they're not on Spotify and they're listening to the latest book in a series. So it gives them that privacy to that. I know I get a lot of schools who, when they run the reports, suddenly go, I thought I'd lost that child. I thought that child had stopped reading and they left year 7. And now I've looked at my report and realised that they're actually one of my biggest readers still, which is absolutely fantastic. So I'm not going to go really salesy, so I'm kind of just going to run through this quickly and then just leave this on the screen as I'm saying that. But at Sora, we know that the things that school librarians are most in need of is more time and more money. And those are the things that are in the shortest supply in schools. So our aim with packages that we offer is to help you with both of those things. So to make something that is really easy for you to run, so we do all the work behind the scenes for you, but it also provides you with excellent value for money. So providing access for the whole school, adding that content regularly for you. You have access to me as an account manager based in the UK, and you also have lots of access to promotional materials, on-demand training, etc. And you can see the figures there about the kind of content that is included in the packages that we offer. So if anybody would ever like any more information, that's just my email address on the screen there. So that's me. And as I said, we're so pleased to be sponsoring this. So thank you for giving us the opportunity.
Thank you, Ros. That's a brilliant overview. And yeah, lots of appreciation for all of the work that you do for that. Yeah, this is the Secondary School Librarian of the Year Award. As I say, sponsored by Sora, and Heather Granger from Weatherhead is up first. So if you just want to share with us why you applied and yeah, what you've got out of it and what you've been doing, that'd be great. Thanks.
Brilliant, thank you. Never done anything like this before. It's quite exciting. So what made me apply? The answer is I didn't. I was incredibly lucky that my literacy coordinator actually came to me and said, I want to nominate you for this award, which was a huge shock. but a very lovely one. And she was hoping to keep it a surprise, but she needed information from me. So she had to come and ask me for all the info that you have to put together for that initial nomination. So I think that first step was huge for me, just that acknowledgement from within my school that somebody felt I was worthy of something like this. I've seen the winners, like Ros, over the years and everything that they accomplish, and you never really think you could be up there with them. I think I've been in my post now for 11 years this year, and I think I've had 10 years of imposter syndrome, of just always feeling like everyone else is perhaps doing that bit more, that bit better, handling things better. But actually, this process has been so good for reevaluating that and really taking stock of how much we all do. So I think that's been huge. I think when it came to doing the application, when it came to the point of doing the big questionnaire, it was fantastic actually to just take that step back and fully look at everything you do. And I think trying to cram things into 5 minutes of talking is really tough. And I imagine everyone who's online right now, if they actually took that step back and looked at what they do, you could be there for hours going through everything you do. So one of the things you asked us to speak about today was sort of what was in the application that, you know, that we're most proud of, that really stands out, that we want to share. And I think first of all, it was just that variety that we all know with this job day to day. We do so much, that the sort of day-to-day things that always happen, then all the extra things that come on top, the innovation that's always going on, the evolution that's always going on with this job. And I think that was what was really key to me when I was answering those questions on the application. I think some of the main things that I focused on in that was first and foremost our reading lessons, because that's a huge part of my job. Over the years, they have gone from me taking quite a back seat, and it literally just been the kids come in, the teachers tell them to read, and then they leave again. And I have taken a handle of that over the years and taken control of that, and they are now my reading lessons where I lead on those. If I'm lucky, the teachers are there too for behaviour management, but quite often they're not, they're called away for cover. So I quite like that flexibility to do what I want in those lessons. So I've developed a whole new induction scheme for our year at 7s that goes across 8 weeks with all sorts of library skills, but also reading skills, and looking at ways in which I've noticed quite a drop off in reading comprehension in the last few years. So I've tried to incorporate a lot with that, just some guidance towards how to read for understanding, how to keep track of a story as we're reading through it, how to tackle non-fiction. I've been able to add in the Information Book Award books into that process when we look at non-fiction. I try to add in a lot of activities and challenges as we're doing that. And that's been such a positive experience, putting together that induction programme to run for across beyond a half term, sort of the bulk of our first term that runs for, alongside them still having time for browsing the books and actually reading the books. And then developing with our Year 8 students some more book talk opportunities. So a chance to discuss what they're reading, but for me to highlight a lot of new things for them as well. I've been working really hard on all the different reading lessons on differentiation for all our different groups, because every class is different, all the abilities are different, and looking at what works for them. So if the standard model doesn't work, we look at group reads, we do some group activities, whatever it is that works for those. So the sort of the heart of my day-to-day job is the reading lessons. And then I think running alongside that is the creating a safe space. So creating a space that really is somewhere every student, I feel it's so important that every student in our school should know that the library is a place and I am a person that they can turn to when they need to, whenever that might be, whatever it might be for. I think we're in a really fortunate role where we often have more time than some of the teachers do to have those conversations with students, to check in with them, to make sure they're okay. And I think alongside all the work I do for reading for pleasure, for literacy, that idea of well-being and a safe space is huge for school libraries. I think at secondary, when they are bombarded by so much, they spend their days going from one person to another with their teachers. To have a place they know they can always come back to, that will always be there for them, is really important. And that's something I've worked really hard at, trying to make sure every student knows it can be for them, even if they're not a big reader. And actually quite a lot of our regulars, as we call them, they're not big readers, or they didn't start out as big readers. A lot of them even openly tell me, oh, I hate readers, I don't like books. And then they come in, but they find it's a place they can just exist, they can be themselves, they can find other similar people. And that's a part of the job that I've always highlighted, that I always view as super important for what I do. And I think one of the ways that ties in with that, something that was quite big on my application, is the events that we run. So the reading lessons is great, the breaks and lunchtimes and after schools of having that place open, and the clubs and things that go on is brilliant. But I think what really stands out for me is the extra bits we can add on that add so much more to their school experience. So it's a part of the job I probably love the most, is planning new things, planning new events. What can we do this year that's different, that's better, building on what we've done before. And I've developed this year, I feel really happy. We've done a really great programme of events over the year. And we've gone from really little things, just like having a film on a lunchtime that ties in with a book, or little lunchtime activities. We had like a lunchtime book launch celebration for the Heartstopper book when it came out, the latest one. And then gradually building up to bigger things. So scattered through the year, we've had small events and big events. So we had a poetry slam event that was only meant to be small, but ended up in 3 lunchtimes because we had too many people signing up for it, which was a lovely problem to have. So many people getting involved. And then I started some after school sharing story events. So after the end of the library day, sort of 5:30, we opened up, students came back in if they wanted to. It started with Halloween. We did spooky stories in the dark where we had hot chocolate for them. Hot chocolate was the real draw. That's what got them in through the door. Hot chocolate. I turned all the lights off and read them spooky stories in the dark. And then they made little book crafts and things like that, little ghosty crafts. And it was really lovely, really low key, quite simple, but really effective. Those students just feeling it was a fun space. It was a nice space. It wasn't all about sitting in silence reading a book, which is, I think, what some of them think a library might be. So that was lovely. So we've done more of those themed through the year. And then we have our sort of big events. I think our main 2 this year have been World Book Day, inevitably, always a huge event. And this year I really wanted with World Book Day to sort of widen our appeal to the number of students it involves, but also staff. So I don't know about anyone else, but I quite often am very much tagged on with the English department. They are fantastic. They're so supportive. They're great. But we're a big school. We're 1,600 students. We've got over 200 staff, and I wanted to be able to reach out to more people. So World Book Day, I did a Murder in the Library week-long event that involved lots of silly videos. So the body of me was found in the library, and we had a little teaser video of the body being found, and then our new head teacher kindly turned detective with his Sherlock hat, and I'm going to solve this mystery. And we had gathering of clues. We had all the departments getting involved. They all had book posters to display in their departments. Students went down there and discovered which books linked with which department. They then came to the library and found those books in amongst a whole host of them on the tables. The correct books had clues in them. The incorrect books had little red herring cards in them. It just gave them a chance to go around the school looking at and talking about the books. And then later in the week, in their English lessons, they put all their clues together. There were more silly videos, more fun. They found out suspects and motives and methods, and then put it all together with more clues, bit of reading comprehension going on here, and putting together like a Murdle-style logic grid to solve the murder and discover who killed Miss Granger in the library for World Book Day. And it was so much fun. It created such a buzz through the school, and I thought I need to hang on to that idea of reaching out. It was the whole of year 7 to 10 doing it in their English lessons, and year 11 and 6th form were able to get involved through the library as well, which is brilliant. And then the second big event that I did in April was our Lit Fest event. So this sort of built on what I've done in previous years where we've had author visits in, but I thought what we were doing before cost a lot, but I don't think reached that many students. So I decided Lit Fest, start again, start afresh and make it reach more. And I was able to have author visits for all students in years 7 to 10, which was incredible. We were able to put together sort of tailored workshops. So we had a year 5 class come in. We had a most able students writing workshop with one of the authors. Our LGBTQ+ club got to meet with Simon James Green. We had Louisa Reed working with our year 12s on their poetry. And we had a year 9 Swan group, got to meet with Frank Cottrell-Boyce, and he taught them magic tricks and things. It's absolutely fantastic. And I managed to add in some tricks as well. We've finally got tricks going on again. So I took our student librarians out to choose some books from a local bookshop, which they loved. I'd definitely be doing that again. And then our looked after children and our young carers, we were able to arrange a trip to our local library for them to introduce them to everything the local library can offer, alongside what the school library can. And they did a little scavenger hunt. We had a big after school celebration, a Mad Hatter's tea party. I'm trying to whiz through quickly everything I've got on my notes here. We have a lady that does hands-on animal encounters and education talks. She brought some Wonderland animals in. We had crafts, we had games, we had selfie station. We had lots of competitions going alongside it. And I think the key thing from the event side is I always make sure they are free for students. So that's really key to me, free and open to everyone. So just trying to make sure that everyone can be included and that people, you know, the older students don't think it's just for year 7. I think that's been really important and has had a huge impact, just opening it up as much as possible and keeping things as simple for me as I can while making it as effective as possible for them. So just
sorry.
Yeah. So I was just going to finish with the impacts of this whole process of the award. I definitely recommend people to apply for it. I think it's been so positive and so confidence building, and that chance to reflect back on everything that I'm doing. And it's sort of pushing me and motivating me to look, where do I go from here? Looking at people like Alice, who's going to speak soon, who does so much working with the SLA, and looking at how I can get involved more on a wider scale, as well as just within school. And just that feeling, that reminder that we need that what we do actually matters. Thank you.
Brilliant. It absolutely does. Thank you so much, Heather. I'm so sorry that time is running away with us, but it's brilliant and inspirational to hear all of this. So we have got Elizabeth Vale and also Alice to fit in. So over to you, Elizabeth. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to congratulate all of the librarians who've been shortlisted for these awards. Like, it's really an honour to speak alongside you this afternoon and to learn about all the amazing things that you're doing in your school libraries. I'm also sure you feel the same way as I do right now, excited, honoured and really, really nervous. I'm also guessing that we've applied for the award for pretty much the same reasons. We're all here because we're passionate about libraries. We want the best for our students and our school communities, and we want to make an impact on our profession. The awards led by SLA are a great opportunity for us to test that we're on the right track, to reflect on our practice and to celebrate our successes. So Philip Larkin once described librarians as teachers without a classroom, and this quote has always stuck with me in my practice. So when I first took on the library at Thomas Mills High School, the students and staff had more negative associations with the space than positive. They saw it as just a room with books. Borrowing figures were really low and nobody was keen to work there. So with a little determination though, we were able to turn this around and transform it into the busy and vibrant space our students and staff work in today. So with Larkin in mind, we introduced weekly library lessons, information literacy training, and we have book clubs for students in year 7 to 10, termly author visits, and library short courses, which focus on skills like British Sign Language. It's really important to us that our students are learning all the time. So we also reached out and invited teachers from different departments to visit the library and to take part in special library lessons as well, planned by me. So these library lessons have always had a good uptake and include activities such as speed dating. We've done a science escape room and a super library sweep, which was inspired by Dale Winton's super library sweep, supermarket sweep, if any of you remember that. Yeah, all of these classes though are designed to help students increase their skills and knowledge while engaging with our library's resources. So when I started as well at the school, we introduced daily clubs into the library and we began to plan larger events, including our inter-school Carnegie Battle of the Books, which we're running tomorrow, which I'm really excited about, and our annual charity Comic-Con. So we started this latter event in 2017, and it's something that's very close to my heart and I'm extremely proud of. Now as it kind of works as an alternative sports day in the school, and it reaches those students that are sometimes a little overlooked. The charity aspect also allows the students to, because it's a charity Comic-Con, it allows the students to do something positive for their community and raise money for a cause that they feel passionate about while having fun. It's extremely student-led, and we let the students choose the charities that they give the money to. The Comic-Con is also fun. And the events in these events, like, it's fantastic to watch how the students and teachers interact, because we have lots of teacher volunteers as well. And it's nice how the teachers and students have that opportunity to build a relationship outside the classroom. So teachers have commented, like, they've been able to get to know kind of the quiet student in the class and stuff, which is lovely. So we will also work hard to empower our students by offering them the chance to be trained as library assistants, to run events and clubs during the week, or to work as part of our library assembly team. So the library assembly team has been trained in oracy and body language, and they lead assemblies during the academic year. We're basically doing all we can to empower our student body and equip them for the world outside. So one assembly that particularly stood out to me this year was one focused on neurodiversity that they led. So when the assembly team was speaking on the stage, a student from the audience who I know has autism was nodding along, and it was lovely because you could just tell that student felt seen. And this really resonated with me as it was clear that the students speaking as part of the library assembly team really understood what the library was about and what we're about as a school. And this inclusiveness is also seen in the diversity of our collection. And we're a strong believer that books should be mirrors and windows. You know, every child should see themselves in a book and or see like a different life in a book, you know. And we often, you know, say that in our assemblies. And we also work extremely hard in all we do to create students that are educated, empathetic, and open-minded. So outside my community at school, I also have a fantastic group of librarians I work with on the Suffolk Librarians Forum, and also Norfolk and Suffolk SLA. So we share lesson plans and ideas, we arrange events together, and we work as a group to ensure that all of our libraries run to a high standard. And I'm extremely proud to be involved in both groups, and I've learned so much from the other librarians on them. They're all absolutely fantastic. So since being shortlisted for SLA's Librarian of the Year award, there have been quite a lot of benefits. So our students have had the opportunity to start creating book reviews for an online magazine, which they've absolutely loved. It's been brilliant. And the departments that were harder to engage in the school as well have started using the library more, and are working with me to plan events which will benefit our students further. So this includes a Bletchley Park activity with maths, which I'm really excited to launch soon. So I've also received lovely emails from staff, parents and students, alongside authors, which has been really exciting. I'd just like to end by saying thank you to SLA. It's been fantastic being part of this celebration of school libraries and librarians, and I've enjoyed it a lot, so thank you.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Absolutely fantastic. And then we have Alice Leggett, who has waited very patiently. So we've heard some fantastic work that's been going on. So I'm going to pass over to you, Alice. Thank you.
Thanks, Helen. But just to say, it's been so lovely to hear from all of you. I'm going to steal all of your ideas shamelessly, so I hope you don't mind. So I was asked to talk about, you know, why did we nominate in the first place? And like some of the others, you know, it wasn't my idea. I'm not, despite doing quite a lot for the SLA, it's kind of, I do it, you know, against my better judgment, not judgment, but against my own fear. And it doesn't feel natural to put yourself forward for anything. I've only been a librarian for 3 years, maybe. I wasn't sure I was ready. But my manager, who's a deputy head at the school, she really wanted us to do it. I think because our school traditionally has kind of a mixed reputation. It's the only state school in the area. We're surrounded by every other school is either private, grammar, single sex, faith. So we have this kind of occasionally, you know, like not fantastic reputation. And I think she was really keen to be like, look, this is something we're doing really well. It's working. The kids are loving it. The library, I think, for a long time was empty and was kind of always quite a very quiet place. And that's just not my personality. So when I came, we made it lively, and I tried to meet the school where it was and see what the kids needed, and what they needed, as Elizabeth and Heather have said, is a safe space, somewhere where they can feel seen, somewhere where they can explore their own interests. So it sort of quite quickly became this lively place full of Dungeons and Dragons and crochet and Lego and all those things that we do. So it was a real honour that they wanted to nominate me, and I think it is really good to celebrate what's going on in your school when people don't always have a great opinion, and actually it's a wonderful school, and we're doing incredible things across the board, not just me. So we had all the kind of normal stuff in our application, author visits and pupil librarians and that kind of thing. The things that we're kind of most proud of, I think, is like Elizabeth was saying, it's about, and Heather, the library lessons are a huge part of what we do. So I design and implement and deliver all of them. And we do lots of interesting and fun and innovative things. But the thing that's had the most impact this year has been making the decision we are going to read a book from start to finish, the same book to all of year 7 from our Horizon students, which is our autism base, which is the largest in the country that's attached to a state school. So lots of students from there. So all the way up to top set kids. We all read, this year it was the final year by Matt Goodfellow. We wanted them to have that experience because, we surveyed the children, and I think maybe about 75% said that they hadn't, in their memory, read a book from start to finish. They'd read excerpts in class, they'd had class reads and things like that, but literally from page 1 to the end, we read it, so that we could respond to it together, so that they could have this shared experience. And it's been, it's so ridiculously simple, and it's been just the highlight, the best thing I've ever done. So that's been really lovely. We also had, like Elizabeth, we had a Comic-Con this year, which was really lovely. So we had a manga sale, and we had Jennifer Killick and Sonny Leong, who's a manga artist, visit, and I'm reading my list, but comic drawing contests, and just lots of things to try and make the library seem more lively. Sorry. We also instigated a museum space in the library, because we realised after lockdown, lots of kids, especially because we're in a very deprived area, 40% of our kids are on pupil premium, they hadn't had these kind of cultural experiences. So we designed our own library that the kids are now in charge of, and we work with the history department and with the local community to change the displays up. We've had history of war, which they were really into. Some year 11 boys very keen on that, and at the moment it's all about zines. Before that it was toys. Very keen on the vintage Game Boys there. Another thing we've done this year is to nominate one of our pupil librarians for the Pupil Librarian of the Year award, and she didn't win and she didn't care, and it was amazing. And if you've got pupil librarians, do it, because it's such a fantastic day out, and they still get a trophy, and it was just lovely. So do that if you can. I'm trying to think of other things we're proud of. The other thing that I'm really personally proud of is that I've worked really well with our governors and our SLT to get a really good, secure library policy, so that we've got a really clear vision of where we're going, so that I know that everything I'm doing is being backed up and that I've got their support. And I think, that's something that is not easy for a lot of librarians. And, it doesn't come naturally to me to go demanding things from people more senior to me, but I'm really glad that I pushed that and that we've got that relationship now. I'm going to cut off a lot because we're out of time. So I'm just going to say, for me, the impact on me has been, it's just been really lovely. Partly because I've got to meet lots of people through it. I'm really looking forward to actually meeting some of you face to face. I met Heather at the SLA conference. I'm really looking forward to meeting Elizabeth. It's been really lovely I think the school are really good at showing appreciation for the library. But I think outside the school, it's been good to kind of get that message out. I think my manager's plan of look, we're doing something good, we should tell people about it, has worked. That people are like, oh, look, what's going on over there? And that we've spread that kind of through the local community. And I'm now going to start working with some primary schools. We've had really good conversations with booksellers and so on, and authors for events they're offering to do for us. So that's been wonderful. And then for me personally, it's been really validating, I think, because you know, I have only been doing this for 3 years. I've taught for a long time before that. At my previous school, I had a not a great experience. I had a serious issue of censorship, which is why I was so keen to work with governors on good policy. So, you know, and that was quite difficult. So it's been really lovely to be like, actually, I do know what I'm doing. Other people said that I do, so I'm trusting them. The SLA, if you've agreed that I can be on this list, then it means that I can do my job. So I'm going to stop going on there, but just to say thank you so much to the SLA and to all the other nominees, and I can't wait to meet you and celebrate with you. Thank you.
Thanks again, Alice. Thank you so much. And yeah, I want to echo that it's so fantastic to hear everybody's work, and a huge congratulations. And the decision to choose one of you out of that, I do not envy you, Paul Register, and your team. I do not envy it at all, but it's about celebrating all of the brilliant work. So thank you to everybody for sharing, and look out for the finalists very soon. Appreciate you all coming, and have a good evening. Thank you. Bye.